What is up? It is May 7th. It's Thursday night. It's time for another Thursday night grind. Believe it or not, I had a customer today drop off something and said, no hurry. Actually, we were just talking today because of something that dropped off a while ago. But if you could have it done by Friday at 11, that'd be cool. He was like, you mean tomorrow? And she's like, oh, it's Thursday. Yeah, like I totally get it. Anyway, it is episode 19 of the Thursday night grind. We're going to do a little bit of work on a Shun. Nice glare there. Oh, good. You can see I couldn't get a good image for the thumbnail, but see that? That's a little damage on that Shun. This one isn't too bad. And before we get going, I like to just try to share some ideas and knowledge that I have. And I want to talk about angles. Before I do want to, you saw that mark on here. This is not uncommon with the Shun or any kind of higher end Japanese cutlery. I have a Miyabi on the bench as well, and I'll see if I can get you that little net. Yeah, you got it. See that? Yeah. So what happens with these is the wear feature is less of the curling over that you see in some of the cheaper cutlery, and because the metal is so hard, it has a tendency to chip rather than dull. So it's a kind of a cool feature. It just requires a little bit of work to bring them back. If you can maintain them, it's less of a deal. But the point is, I see a lot of the Shuns, primarily, that's like the most common, higher end Japanese cutlery knife that is in a residential kitchen that I see anyway. And there are a lot of chips. So let's talk about getting chips out. Before we do, let's talk about angles, because the person, had some communications with the owner of this knife, and they were asking like, hey, can you do a 15-degree bevel on this? And I was like, I felt the need to say and inform, like, yeah, I totally can, but I'm not sure that's exactly what you want. And I wanted to share with you kind of just the way I think about the bevel angles, and then you're welcome to agree or disagree or like use it to formulate your own opinion. But if somebody drops off a knife and they don't ask, they don't know, they don't care, if it's a lower end or a German piece of cutlery, not saying those are the same, but I'll do those at 21 degrees. Symmetrical bevel, 21 degrees on either side. If it's a Japanese knife, I will do an 18-degree bevel, whether they ask or not, just because I feel like it gets the higher performance that you'd expect out of that knife, and it's still relatively durable. Understanding here that the higher the degree, 21, 23, 25, the idea is it's not going to feel as sharp, but it's going to be a more durable edge. And then as you reduce your angle, 21 to 18, 15, 13 degrees, you're going to get a very sharp feel, but it's also going to be a more delicate edge. So if I do that, I feel like the person that wants that 15 or 13 degree bevel is going to be someone who's very experienced in maintaining the knife. And like the audience that comes to mind is like a professional sushi chef. That is like the type of person I think of who's going to have a 13-degree bevel on an amazing knife, and they're going to work it every day, whether that's like that's a type of person I think is a good fit for that angle. That said, I'll do whatever you want. I had a customer ask for a 70-30, meaning they're right-handed, so they want 70 degrees cut on the not 70 degrees. They wanted I think it was a 15-degree bevel, but they wanted 70% cut down on one side and 30% on the other. So I said, yeah, like I can do that. I'm just going to take more passes on the right side of that blade than the left side. And then something that came to mind that a machinist that I work with said one time, like, prove me I'm wrong. Like, is it 70-30? Is it 60-40? Like, I don't know. Like, I'm going to get it. I'm going to give you a bigger bevel on that side, right? Understand too, if you go to like all the way, then you're left with a chisel grind, which some knives, in fact, I have one. It's a really nice Japanese piece of cutlery that I bought in Japan off the street, not knowing anything about knives, but it's a chisel grind. It's actually not a great knife for me. It's really cool. Like I wish I just had a different, I wish I knew more when I bought it. Whatever. Okay, so that is 5 minutes of me spieling about angles. That could go on a lot longer, right? That'd be a fun conversation to have. But let's talk about what we need to do with this Shun. Ultimately, this is where I love having the 1x30, because if I needed to get past these chips or take these dings out on the Edge Pro, you could do it, you know, put a coarse stone on and get some material off. It's just going to take time, you know. So I'm going to do it on the 1x30. I'm going to use some precautions because this, like I learned this the hard way too. Like this steel has a tendency to chip. So I'm going to go to a relatively fine grit, in this case 220. I'm not going to use the platen ever, which is the platen is that backing that you can kind of press your blade up against. You get a faster cut. But what ends up happening is the knife chatters against the platen, and that I learned that the hard way too. Like where I take the knife off, it has more chips than it had going on. I was like, what the? Okay, so let's not do that. And then relatively light passes. I don't want to make the knife worse, but I do need to get past these dings in this case, and in that Miyabi, the chips. All right, so I'm gonna cruise over to the 1x30 and let's get grinding. Right over here. This is going to be the part where, so 220 belt, there's the platen I'm talking about. So all my grinding work for this knife is going to be going on right here. I'm just going to, here we go. Oh yeah, here comes the noise, right? Let me know if this mic does a good job at canceling that out. I'll look for the best shot I can here. So I've been loving your questions too. Keep your questions coming. I dropped a mailbag the other day on how I handle rust. I got another one coming up on stones, particularly the diamond matrix stones versus the conventional stones. I have a magnifying glass right here. I like to check it out. That actually looks good. That was not too bad. Yeah, that's great, actually. Good stuff. All right. Because that thing is I was thinking about doing the Miyabi too since I got you. That went a little better than I was expecting. I'm having a hard time detecting the dings at the moment, which is great. Okay. Well, that's, you know, like don't take off more than you have to. That's a nice rule of thumb. All right, so okay, so on the stones, like I mean, I'm not gonna be able to ramble through all of it now, but the question is like, are the diamond matrix stones worth it? The answer is yeah, maybe. And we'll talk more about that in the future. I've been meaning to get that video out, so thank you for that question. All right, but all right, so I'm going to set myself to 18 degrees here. All right, here's something that's kind of fun that I've been trying out. Got my rag. I feel like I need to shift you a little bit. What I'm going to try to do here, what I'm going to show you is something I've been working on, kind of testing out, and so far it's been all right. But it can use, so you cut the edge on the, oh, that was another question that I had, like, how do you know what angle you are on the 1x30? The question is, as long as you're shallower than what your end angle is, it's fine. Like then when you put the stone on it, you're building a burr immediately. And the worst case scenario is you're left with a compound bevel, which is arguably a good thing anyway. So I'm not too worried about it. I end up going pretty shallow on the 1x30. But anyway, I got the conventional Edge Pro 220 stone in here, and this, yeah, like you're not gonna be able to see it, but I can tell right away. I'm putting a burr on the whole way on the first pass. And then I also had a question about like is how good enough is good enough, like when you're getting chips out. And I will confess that when I was just doing all my work on the Edge Pro, I would, you know, I'd get it good enough. And my good enough had a bigger tolerance than it does at the moment. Because when I do it on the 1x30, usually it's just another couple passes. And I'm not embarrassed to charge more for grinding chips out, bringing chips back and tips and chips. I feel like that is something that sets my shop apart from the Joe Blow with a sharpening stone, you know. All right, so I'm spending a little extra time here with the 220 because I haven't told you what the next step is. But I also want to confirm I'm putting a burr on the whole length. And then I also have found that I enjoy just going back to that first side to make sure that it wasn't a burr that I was feeling that came off of the 1x30 when I did the original check. And I can tell by eye too, right? Like it's not something I'm worried about, but like I've said many times, like if you're not building a burr, don't go on. You're not there yet. And that's also a lesson I've learned. And that's a real nice steady burr the whole way up. So here's the thing, like that was a 220. Like what if I just go right from that up to the 1100 diamond matrix stone? I gotta make sure I don't, if I'm running my gums, I don't always know if I check everything, but I did. Gotta adjust for the height. This is a significantly thicker stone, which is why I need to adjust for the height. This is something that I think draws a little, see how much thicker this one is than this one? So if I put this on, it wouldn't be cutting, in this case it wouldn't matter as much because this is thicker, it's going to be a bigger angle, so I'm still going to be reaching the edge. But as you work through a whole series of stones, that might not be the case. Anyway, that's why this little shaft collar is what I consider to be an essential piece of equipment for the Edge Pro system. Okay, but yeah, like what about this? What if I go right from the 220 and then go to the 1100 diamond matrix? Like one thing I really love about the diamond matrix stones is they cut like champs. Now I'm going to spend a little extra time, right? So like the goal of progressing through stones is to refine the edge, remove the scratch pattern left from the stone before it. So I'm going to take a little bit extra time here because I did not use any other stones between the 220 and the 1100. And this is where it'd be great. Like if you have some experience on the Edge Pro and you have some thoughts like, oh man, like either that's, yeah, nothing wrong there, I've been doing that all my life, or like that's a good idea, no problem. Or like, no, dude, like you just check it out under an electron microscope, you're not getting it all. All right, so then this is the cut pattern. I just put a burr back on this side. I'm going to cut that burr off. I'm going to finish this side with each side with what I call a honing pull stroke. Back to this side. So like, yeah, like what if you could, I mean, does that work? 2 stones up to, you know, over a 1,000 grit finish. You know, I think 1,000 grit is where we differentiate, you know, where it becomes a polished finish. I have my little catalog here. I mean, is this thing gonna, yeah, I don't know, like that's okay. I mean, if you like I told you before, like I'm a systems guy. I'm always trying to find more efficient systems while not losing any quality. And like I'm kind of okay with that. And that's, I mean, that stone, that 1100 grit diamond matrix stone is about I think they're selling them for 65 bucks, something like that. Like there's money in there. This one is, you know, these are, you can buy I bought a whole kit of these for 36 bucks, meaning the whole series of conventional stones, not mounted. They're easy to mount. So I'm considering that. I want to put that out to you. Like, is that a hot tip? 2 stones on the Edge Pro. One being the diamond matrix. Like, again, I love the diamond matrix because they cut so well. I could go on forever about that, and I need to cut that video on my feelings about the stones from Edge Pro. Okay, but that's it for Thursday Night Grind. And look at that, 15 minutes. That's not too bad. I feel like sometimes these go a little long. Closing out here, if you have any questions, please let me know. I'm loving those, and I will try to keep getting videos out with answers to that stuff. Please subscribe, smash that thumbs up button, hit the bell. I've heard that helps with the YouTube algorithm. That way you get notified every time I put out a new one. Please show up every Thursday. Tell your friends, and I'm just really excited about everything that's going on here at the American Edge. And with the people I'm working with, I'm getting a lot of feedback from them saying that their business is looking good, up and down, as you know, a lot of these guys are just starting out. So, but it's fun. Like that's the angle that I'm moving into. And if you want to start a sharpening business, let's talk, or grow. Okay, that's it. Love you guys. Stay healthy out there. All right. Peace.